Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea. I am Senior Manager of Global Product Marketing here at Datassential, and I'm going to be your host for today's webinar. So first, while I know we have people joining us in the webinar room, we've got two quick little questions that we want to ask you in the chat. So first, would love to hear where in the world you are joining us from today. And second, since we are talking about potatoes, then we would love to know what your favorite and go-to sauce is for chips, fries, free, whatever you want to call them in your own country. What do you like to dip them in? So is it ketchup? Is it mayonnaise? Is it gravy or something more adventurous? So people can go ahead and drop both those answers in the chat to start us off, where you're from and your favorite dipping sauce. Um, Personally, I love a good mayonnaise or aioli with my fries, so I'll start with that and then we'll let everybody drop those in. Got Charlotte from the UK, also a mayonnaise fan, love that. Salt and golden fries in Dubai, love that as well. And herbs in Romania, very cool. Okay, so it looks like we've got lots of people here. Thanks everybody for dropping those in. We're going to learn a little bit more about different dipping sauces around Europe in a little bit. So today's session is part of our Europe in a Bite series, and we're going to be covering the humble potato and how it appears on social media. So feel free to use the chat to comment on anything interesting. And we will also be sending the recording of this webinar in the next couple of working days, so you can rewatch it at your own pace. And today I am delighted to share the stage with my two brilliant colleagues. We have Chris Bennett, manager of social listening data. So he spends his days deep in conversations that people are having about food and beverage online. And then we also have Manuel Morales, our sales director, who knows how to translate those signals into real business opportunities. So, hi, Chris. Hi, Manuel. Thanks for being here today.
Hello, happy to be here.
Hi, hi Andrea. Hi everyone. Hi Chris.
And so before we dive in, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about who we are for those joining us for the first time. So Manuel, if you would like to advance the slide, please. So Datassential is the global authority in food and beverage intelligence. So on the screen here, you can see some examples of the manufacturers, distributors, and brands that we partner with to help them understand what consumers want, where menu trends are heading, and how to optimize their sales strategies. So in Europe, we track millions of operators, online conversations, menus, and consumer signals. So what you're about to see in this webinar isn't guesswork. It's actually a real reflection of what's happening out there right now. So on the screen here, just a quick overview of what we'll cover. We'll start by setting the scene with understanding what social listening is. Then we'll dig into some of the signals we're seeing on potatoes across 5 key European markets. And then finally, we'll look at what this means for your business. So Chris, over to you to start us with social listening.
Great, thank you, Andrea. So just a quick reminder of what makes this methodology so unique is that we are not asking or prompting any questions. We are just looking at what people come online organically to talk about, the things that are driving them online to discuss the behaviors and attitudes and experiences that they want to talk about online anonymously or inorganically. And then looking at the methodology. So we are looking at 12 months of data from March to February, March 2025 to February 26. And we're looking at all the major social sites. So Facebook, Reddit, Pinterest, TikTok, Tumblr, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. And if you joined us before, we previously were capturing these conversations through a kind of keyword and location methodology, where we're looking, for city mentions to make sure that we were accurately capturing the conversations from these countries. But now with new translation tools and with AI, we are able to expand that capability into all language conversations. So now we are looking by language for these conversations around potatoes. And we are kind of taking out any other countries that are not related to these European countries. So, for instance, we're looking at all Spanish conversations, and then taking out the Latin American countries to make sure we're looking at just Spanish conversations from Spain. So this new approach to this has kind of expanded our data a little bit, and we're really excited about it. And also the key metrics that we're looking at today are the mentions and engagements. So mentions are the number of posts where these keywords around potatoes appear. And then engagement is the number of likes, shares, and comments that each post gets from other users. So what immediately stood out in the potato conversations was just how unique the dishes are between these markets. When we looked previously at uh, pizza and cocktails, there was a lot of overlap in, the obviously the types of dishes, but here we see a lot of unique things appear. So, you know, whether it is the tartiflette in France, also I will prefer. Uh, Quickly say that I am an English speaker only, so apologies for how I pronounce any of these things moving forward. But looking at, in France, we have the tartiflette emerging as the top um, potato pasta in Italy. So really, again, understanding that these things are very unique, and also interesting to see how the engagements and mentions play out too. So in something like Germany, where uh, you know, German potato salad, obviously a lot of mentions around that, but not as much engagement compared to some of the other dishes that we'll go over shortly. So looking at these top dishes in France, you can see again, we'll also see the one consistency we'll see through these is kind of the take on very classic recipes for these things and then new twists on them as well. So for France, we see, the tartiflette on a submarine. So, a new context where it's a classic dish, but made in a unique setting. We see some great frites posts, both, classic shoestring recipes, as well as what frites, goes well with, burgers or other things. And then we also saw a lot of these smashed potatoes. So the pomme de terre grenade, is, the baby potatoes or new potatoes. And they're roasted a little bit and then literally just smashed down with like a glass or something heavy, and then made into, salad toppings or even into a potato pizza crust. And then in Germany, the top dishes, classic meat and potato stuff. And we saw, whether it was chicken or beef, the Auflauf format was really popular. So this kind of casserole, potato casserole, with either chicken or beef, was really, a great way to incorporate these ingredients. And then we also saw again these kind of smashed potatoes as a new take on potato salad. So, making something really crunchy, whether it's again like smashed potatoes or even thinner fried potatoes, to give that extra crunch to the potato salad. And then in Italy, we saw again some really classic pasta croce recipes or roasted potatoes or these patata e cose recipes with seafood, really classically done. And then we also saw some new takes as like the potato provola as a flatbread, or these kind of baked potato mini pizzas. Um, so again, really taking kind of the mix of classic dishes and new takes on these formats.
Chris, can I make the Spanish section just because I
Yes,
speak
please.
Spanish?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, for Spanish, for example, of course, one of the more trendy and with more engagement is tortilla de patatas. So we can see two different interesting dishes like croqueta de tortilla de patatas that is, looks very good, like a deep fried tortilla de patatas itself, and then this black tortilla de patatas, right? Tortilla de patata negra. So actually, that this is black because of his with squid ink. So that might be very delicious and also with this flavor of seafood. So that you can imagine how it tastes. And also fries, right? Obviously, every conversation is around fries all the time. Who doesn't like fries? So patatas fritas in Spanish. So you can mix it with different things like sausage and cheese. And also we have this format that is fermented patatas fritas. And obviously more specialized always mashed potatoes are with more different and more specialized kind of things. For example, with meat, with barbecue ribs, and also in the other TikTok side, we can see a very famous a chef in Spain, Carlos Arguiñado, with an amazing recipe of onion and egg over mashed potatoes. Yummy, yummy. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you. So I'll take it back to the UK now, where chips are a way of life, and we saw this across pretty much everything. So chips and pie, chips and vinegar, even Chinese takeaway with chips. I don't know many places in the U.S., or at least not around Chicago, that have Chinese takeaway with fries. So that was interesting to me. So a lot of fries in kind of every context in the UK. And then, of course, fish and chips, also, a cultural staple, and also, the competition between North versus South, or very posh fish and chips versus just something greasy you get at the chippy. So really understanding which is the best way to enjoy this cultural staple. And then lastly, the jacket potato. So we see a couple posts here um, from home cooks making loaded potatoes, and really this last post, Spud Van Jacket Potatoes. So really kind of a take on these Spud brothers, who we'll get into on the next slide, but understanding how to make these viral jacket potatoes at home. So the jacket potato virality and engagement, high engagement numbers in the UK are very heavily from these Spud brothers. So they are a food truck in the UK who just make jacket potatoes, loaded jacket potatoes. So they fill them with all kinds of ingredients, and you get to pick what you want in there. But they have a huge social media following for a couple of reasons. So they have great consumer interaction. So the way that they talk to the consumers who are in line, the way that they showcase the line and the wait, for this food, and also these really big loaded potatoes look great on camera. But it's a great example of how you can take very simple ingredients and make them viral online. Just again through really showcasing the whole experience and interacting with the consumers in that way. And next, we broke down the occasions that these markets have for eating potatoes. So a little more overlap here. Things like diet and healthy eating, vegan and vegetarianism. Like these are the types of things that are kind of, good online staples where we're looking for quick and easy recipes or healthier versions, things like that are really play well online. So we see that kind of spread more evenly across these markets. But then we also see some, more unique things emerge as well as, United Kingdom pub and restaurant. Again, that real debate about where to get the best chips and things like that really drive that conversation online. And then we also see things like autumn and seasonality, in France. So really, again, that understanding of matching the food to the seasons and things like that. And then a universal driver, of course, dinner and family meals and things like that as well. So next, we'll take a closer look at the French fries, frites, and chips. So breaking down these conversations by country, again, UK, almost half of the engagements are from chips, so huge cultural staple there. Spain, lower in mentions, but some really viral takes on patatas fritas, so that helps really drive those engagement numbers there. France, frites, um, a cultural staple, so really almost even mentions and engagements. And then Germany and Italy, not as culturally significant, or at least online, uh, around the conversations of fries. Then we broke out the types of fries and types of sauces that are most often discussed in fry conversations. The UK, as they have a huge chips culture, we can see all different types of chips that they are into. Loaded fries, steak cut, truffle fries, sweet potato fries, hand cut fries. They really run the whole gamut of all the different types of fries as well as all the different types of sauces. So gravy, mushy peas, mayonnaise, vinegar, pretty much anything that you can put on a potato. It seems like the UK is into it. So we see a lot of variability here between both the fry types and the fry sauces. And then in Spain, again, not a lot of mentions overall. We see a few different types emerge here, but then the mayonnaise and ketchup really, high engagements as a couple posts did these sauces really well in on their potatoes.
Yeah, and also just to mention, Chris, you can see two things, huevos rotos and patatas bravas that have a lot of mentions. And also it's because it's in many restaurants menus, you can find that like patatas bravas will be everywhere, in every bar, in every restaurant almost. And huevos rotos is actually very good because also it's egg with fries, right? So actually it's a very good dish. Just to comment, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I've had potatoes bravas, but I've not had huevos rotos. I will also say that this topic has been the most that I've pulled recipes from. Almost every other post, I was like, "Oh, I'll try that. I'll try that." So a lot of new things that were very interesting. When looking at France, we see, frites and Parmesan. Huge engagements there. So a really well done kind of Parmesan cheese fries. And then we also see, sweet potato fries, kind of roasty poutine, and Belgian style fries. And fries with plantains, also getting a solid amount of mentions. And then as far as sauces, mustard, mayonnaise, ketchup, really driving the highest of engagement numbers. And then in Germany, we have some cheese fries, homemade fries, Belgian fries again, being part of a big discussion of, do you prefer Belgian style or the French style? Um, and then also some sweet potato fries here. So again, a little bit of range in terms of the fry types in Germany, but then mayonnaise and mustard are the real attention getters in the sauce side. And then lastly, in Italy, um, mostly a lot of just kind of different types or different words for fries. I kind of struggle a little bit to find the differentiator between a few of these different fry terms. Um, so,
Yeah, Chris,
yeah,
I
yeah,
was trying also to help you with that one. Actually, I'm not Italian. I can speak a little bit of Italian, but not so great. But yeah, it sounds very similar, right? Patate fritte, chips di patate, frittura di patate, bastoncini di patate. I was Googling, there were some slight differences on one of them, like more homemade, for example, bastoncini di patate, sorry, the fritture di patate, and actually bastoncini di patate will be this more industrial fries that we know. But please, if there is any Italian that can help us in the in the audience, please give us some good explanation on the comments on what's the difference on those.
yeah. And what I find also really interesting about the Italian data is that, there's not that wide range of fry types like in the UK, but there's almost exactly same wide range of sauces. So they're not using or they're not talking about a ton of different types of fries, but Italian seems to really love talking about the different types of sauces that they put on these fries. See mayonnaise, barbecue, vinegar, gorgonzola, truffles. So again, um, you know, Only a few mentions around fries themselves, but lots of different discussion around different types of sauces.
Now, Chris, that you have talked a lot about what's happening, right, on social, about fries, about the different sauces that they use with fries. We can see a lot of differences, right? But what if we are a food manufacturer? Actually, we sell fries, or maybe we sell sauces. And we want to find restaurants where they serve fries. So how can we use this data into a specific strategy? So actually, Data Essential can help you with that. First of all, we can anticipate, right? Now that we know the trends, we know that in every country we have different preferences in terms of how we eat potatoes in general. Also, what sauces are different on these specific regions or these specific countries. So we need to anticipate on the trends to talk about this more accordingly. So with Data Essential, knowing the trends is one thing, but then we will help you to target where are these specific operators, where are these specific restaurants that actually sells potatoes in different presentations. So that's something we can do. And now that you have the list of these restaurants that sell potatoes, or actually that use potatoes and you can sell sauces to them probably, or also additional dishes around potatoes, we can convince them. In what sense? Like now that we have data of the trendy things, we can go and say, not just like we think like you can sell potatoes. Actually, you can sell potatoes in this way because it is trendy on social media at the moment, right? Or actually, there's a trend going up on these specific subjects. So that's what we can do with Data Essential: anticipate, target, and convince. But how can we do this into practice? In Data Essential, we have a platform that is called a Sales Intelligence Platform. In this platform, we track over 3.2 million different operators around Europe. So it's mainly a list of restaurants, hotels, and cafes. And with this list of restaurants, for example, we can do different filters and we can try to find the restaurants that actually serve cuisines that go related with potatoes. So we can filter, for example, burger restaurants, chicken restaurants, pizza restaurants, or some meat or seafood restaurants, because we know that normally these restaurants pair their food with potatoes in different presentations, of course. And then also what we can do is we can use in the tool some specific tags, right? So we have some tags, for example, in the UK, you can find specific restaurants that actually are specialized on fish and chips. So you can use that. Or that there are some tags very related to a specific type of potatoes or presentation that it will be fries, for example. So that can give you a good list of restaurants that sell potatoes in a specific way. Then also we have menu data of the restaurant. So that's amazing. Why? Because with the menu data, we have seen that in different countries, we call potatoes or the presentation of potatoes can be spelled or actually called differently, right? In their own language. So with Data Essential, you have access to menu data of the restaurants and you can filter that. So for example, in the screen, we can see that there's a filter of the restaurant that has menu. And we have put, for example, trying to find some French restaurants that serve this potato that actually Chris was talking about, right? So the tartiflette or the frites or pomme de terre. Sorry for my French, but so yeah, that's something that we can help, right? So now that we filter all this, what we're gonna get is a list, right? So it's like a prospecting list. So it will tell you every restaurant, right, that sells potatoes or that actually can sell potatoes in specific different ways. So with that, we will have a list, for example, we can see here in the screen, 27,000 different operators, different restaurants, and we have a lot of detail about these restaurants. We have general information, like where they are located, exactly phone number, opening hours, also if they do a specific delivery, and then of course social media links. So we talking about social listening at the moment. Also, we have data of the restaurants, how they perform as well in social media. Then, as I was saying before, we have the menu of the restaurants, but not only that, what we have is the estimated annual sales and the purchase potential. And what is purchase potential? important because it tells you how much they spend on specific categories. For example, how much they spend in food or how much they spend in beverage and also disposable. So we can see, and actually we can do a deeper analysis and not only think about potatoes. Actually, we're talking about different products, different ingredients here. So we can do a specific analysis to see how much they spend in other type of products. Then another product that we have in Datassential that actually is very good to see trends, right? At the moment. First, we were looking at social listening. Now we saw a little bit about sales intelligence platform, and now we have also this part of the tool that is called launches LTOs, right? Launches and ratings. And what is that? It's mainly what we're doing here is we're tracking over 730 different chains in the world, actually 200, a little bit more than 300 in Europe, and we are analyzing 67,000 different menu items. What we're getting here is every time one of these chains launches uh, a new product, right? A new dish, we're gonna track that. So with that, we are not gonna get only the name of the dish. We're gonna get everything that is related with it, with that dish, which ingredients they are using, which sauces they are using. For example, if we can do filters and see what are the launches and ratings about potatoes, we can see that, right? What are the new things that they are having in terms of potatoes? So actually can give you a good understanding about the trends. I think if you can combine and analyze deeper this data, because their sauces and what they are pairing potatoes with, we can have a lot of important information about trends. Then obviously the menus normally are in the language that they're the country coming from, but we translate also in English. So we have the two versions so you can do a good and deeper analysis. I know we have covered a lot of things today. Just to do a quick recap, right? We check first about social listening, how we see potatoes in different ways, in different presentations across country. We have seen that the differences are there are some similarities, of course, but there are some differences also, difference in how they apply sauces with the fries, right? So that's super interesting. But if you want to learn more about us, what we do, if you want to see more trends about different things, not only potatoes, we can speak even about wine, cheese, or different products that you can find in the restaurant. Please go to datassential.com. You can go and find a lot of information there. And also, if you want to talk about potatoes or another thing that you want to explore about food and beverage or also sales strategy around that, please send me an email. Here's my email. And also, if you want to know like where the potatoes coming from, you can send me an email. Like, I will give you an answer. Actually, you can ask Claude, and that's okay.
Thank you so much, Chris and Manuel. That was awesome. I loved seeing all of those different potato dishes. I feel like that crispy potato salad in Germany really looked pretty tasty to me. So before we say goodbye, then just wanted to give you all a heads up on the next session of our Europe in a Bite series. We're going to be talking about everything from bread to patisserie to viennoiserie. So anyone can sign up and save your spot by visiting the link on the screen. If you're sharing a link today, then I encourage you to sign up so you can get that calendar invite directly. And as we close out today, then just a reminder, a 1-minute survey will pop up as you leave the webinar. We really appreciate you providing your feedback. So it's been a real pleasure spending this time with you. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.